Esteemed audience, debate is not debate if it's not on Kenya's #1 debate platform. This is the Great Debaters Contest Season 9, Rift Valley Region, Nandi County. I am your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. In today's debate, the motion is poor parenting is to blame for indiscipline in school.
Our intellectual teams today, both who are making their debut on the Great Debaters Contest, we have IAC Kiborgok Girls High School, who will be the proposers of this motion.
And the opposers of this motion are Chemuisus Secondary School. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes to make a statement.
Well, mtoto mleavyo ndivyo akuavyo. Poor parenting is the blame for indiscipline in school. Let's start with parenting. What does it mean? Parenting is the process of promoting and supporting the physical, social, emotional, and intellectual capacity of a child. And let's talk about poor parenting is the blame for indiscipline in school as a whole. This is a situation whereby parents don't take their rightful responsibility in taking care or guiding their children. As we all know, charity begins at home. And if a parent does not bring her child in an upright manner, then most definitely the child will be indisciplined. On to my first point. Indiscipline is caused in school whereby a parent does not take any action when the child is rude. It causes rudeness. For instance, when a child is rude, or when a parent, a mother or father, hollow out abusive words to each other at the sight of the child, most definitely the child is going to copy or follow what the parent is doing. And you need to tell me when they come in school, that is the thing that they're going to do. They're going to follow what their parents did. And if they become rude, most definitely they will not want any parent or any teacher to guide them or to punish them, because it's something that they're using at home. On to my second point. Some students emulate immoral practices or behaviors from their parents. Let's say a parent is immorally upright, like let's say a mother or a father brings different kind of people, like let's say men or women in the house at the same sight of a child. That will be the child will copy what the parent is doing. Like for instance, the child will be saying, if my dad or my mom brings this type of person in school, at home, why can I not follow the same thing? Of which that will lead to indiscipline. She goes to school, she said that my parent has done this, why can I not do it? Like she's going to do some immorality, like, some bad immoralities, like sexual immoralities, whereby she engaged in some subordinate, she engaged in people in the non-subordinate stuff, like, cooks, having that relationship with them because she has seen the same thing happening with his or her parents, and that will cause indiscipline in schools. Also, indiscipline comes in the poor culture identification, whereby a parent tells his or her child that you are a big boy. Let's say in some different cultures, you find that parents tend to tell their children that because you are from this culture, you're not supposed to allow any teacher or any, let's say for instance, female teacher to cane you. You see, that child will have that kind of confidence, and if a teacher wants to cane him or discipline him, he says, you can't discipline me because my culture doesn't accept me to be disciplined by such and such and so. You see, that will cause indiscipline in school. So indiscipline is caused by parents, and I think parents are to be blamed for such indiscipline cases. Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes to make your statement.
Salutations. I'm Elijah Kipto from Chemuisus Secondary School, ready to oppose the motion which says that poor parenting is to blame for indiscipline in schools. Indiscipline is a major pillar on which procrastinate stands still. These words were said by Nija Ajihotri. And first of all, what is poor parenting? Poor parenting is a low-quality care and upbringing of children by their parents. And what is indiscipline in schools? Indiscipline in schools is a violation of school rules. And such of school rules are like lateness. And the following are the points that supports my opposition. Point number 1, we have peer influence. For instance, when a student comes from his home or her, then goes to school, maybe the student finds other students there at school who are ill-mannered. Those students will influence this new student to involve themselves in indiscipline cases like conducting a strike or even banning of the schools. And this is through intelligence quotient. Point number 2, we have education system. For our case here in Kenya, our education system measures on examination orientation. This means teachers based on the examination orientation and performance of students, but not on their discipline. Thus, the students' discipline would be much deteriorated. Third point, we have government legal system. For instance, we have our country, Kenya. Our country, Kenya, have got Children's Act of 2005, and it has its section 2A, number 38, which says that caning should be abolished in schools. And by doing this, the students' morals is much deteriorated. Point number 4, we have economic instability. This whereby teachers' wages is low compared to the work they do at school. Thus, they won't concentrate much on their work at school, but rather go outside to search for other opportunities. And by doing this, there won't be close supervision for the students by the teachers. And this would lead to curtailing of their behaviors at school. Point number 5, we have poor management. For instance, on October 18th, 2013, in Garissa County, in Garissa High School, the target population included 1 head teacher, 38 students, and 138 teachers. These teachers and principals were involved with the students in discipline. And these forms of indiscipline included lateness, fighting at school, and bullying others. This is contrary to the Sustainable Development Goal number 17, which says that there should be quality, which says that there should be partnership for development. And if it's students' fault, why should parents then be blamed? Thank you.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Well, they always say man is to error and woman is to correction. So I want to correct my fellow here. You say that the work of a teacher is just to come and teach. Let me tell you, a teacher will make sure that a student pass and also be disciplined in school. So there's no way you will tell me that a teacher will only come to class, teach, and leave. So my name is Vivian Atieno from Kiborgok Girls, and I want to propose the motion. Poor parenting is the blame for indiscipline to school. Yes, it leads to fighting. Ask me how. Take, for instance, a child who was born and raised in a family where parents fight. He will end up growing knowing that fighting is good. So when he or she is enrolled in a school, he will let's say if he argues with a fellow student, it will feel normal to fight with him because back at home, parents fight. And this is an indiscipline case. Another one is bringing of electronic devices in school. At times, students might be tempted to carry cell phones or laptops in school because back at home, the parent does not restrict him on the uses of the phone. He feels that he can go wherever he pleases with the phone. That includes going with it to school. So when he's found with it and given suspension, he or she will go back home bragging because he knows very well that the parent will not do anything to him or her. Because there, the parent does not restrict her, that he or she does not tell him that, my son, it is wrong to have phones in school. So when he goes home, he will just go tell the parent that he has been suspended. Then when the parent comes back to school with the student, he will try to defend the student. This is whereby parents normally feel that their children are doing the right thing. But in real sense, the student is breaking the law.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Honorable adjudicators, greetings. I am Elvis Masai from Chemuisus Secondary School, and I want to strongly oppose the motion which states that poor parenting is to blame for indiscipline cases in school. Now, I want to start by saying this way. One of the proposers said that students emulate what their parents do back there at home. I want to give you this instance. When I was born, my mother gave me all the moral support. She taught me to be good. She taught me to go in the line which is good. She taught me what is good and what is bad. Then she took me to school. And when I went to school, I went there and met with my friends. And I developed a character of being in discipline. Now, should my parent be blamed for that one? And yet it was I myself who became indisciplined. And yet she had taught me very well to be disciplined. No, it is not the parent that is to be blamed for that one. I am the one that is to be blamed for that character. Now, another thing is failure of schools to have power to set up their rules and punishment. If a school fails to set rules that will govern the students, that for instance, when they engage themselves in discipline cases, they have to be gotten rid of, and they have to be expelled from the school. Now, if a school doesn't put those measures that will govern the students, of course, they will eventually engage themselves in discipline cases, which will not be a part of the parent. No, it is not a part of the parent. It's a part of the school. Now, another thing is about school leaders' professionalism, whereby you find at some point in some schools, those leaders that are chosen in schools, they themselves, they are in discipline. Most of them, they engage themselves in discipline cases. So the ones they rule, they will eventually emulate them. They'll now engage themselves in discipline cases in schools, and that will not be a part of the parent. No, it will be part of it will be part of the students himself. He will be irresponsible. Now, I want to add this about economic instability, whereby the government fails to pay the teachers well in schools, whereby they only pay the teachers little money. Now, the teachers will not be motivated to instill discipline to the students, and that one will encourage the students to engage themselves in discipline cases, which will not be part of the parents. No parent would have been a part of that in discipline case in schools. Now, another thing is about media, whereby you find some schools, they don't restrict the point at which the students watch. That is through entertainment in school. The schools have to restrict on the things that the students watch in schools, whereby they have to always put educative programs that the students have to watch in schools. They don't need to engage themselves in bad, immoral things that will make them to be immoral. So, thank you very much. Those are my questions.
The proposition has been asked, what about indiscipline cases that are as a result of peer influence? Should that also fall back to the parents? The opposers have been asked, if the responsibility of disciplining is being handed over to teachers, then is that a failure on the parents' part? The third proposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Thank you. I'm Zarika Juliet from IAC Kiborgok Girls. I would like to answer my question that you said peer pressure is also, yes, peer pressure is also in concern of that. Because if a parent is not strict on her child or on his child, of course I will work with bad company, and of which it will lead me to be in discipline. Because my parent is not showing me the right way to go. He's just letting me to do bad things. So I have to blame my parent, because my parent is my first teacher at home. He or she has to tell me this and this is wrong. If my parents can't tell me, of course I will continue doing bad things, and of which it will lead me for doing bad things in future. Thank you, and this is my first point. My first point is failing to do manual duties in school. Of course, spare the rod and spoil the child. If my parent has employed a house girl or a house help in our house, of course, I cannot work because I have a house help. I cannot see my house help sitting there and me taking the house responsibility, and he or she is there. Of course, I will say that he or she is being paid with my parent. I have no time, or I have no space to take the opportunity to do that work, because she is being paid or he is being paid because that is her own duty or his own duty. He has to do her duty according to what he's being paid. So that will encourage me to be lazy in school. When a teacher will tell me to do the manual work, of course I can't do because I'm reluctant. I'm used to the house help at home. When I come to school, I don't know to do this and this. So I can't do because I have house help at home. And another point is that drug abuse. If my parents are using drugs at home, they're buying drugs, bringing the drugs at home, putting it even under the table. They're not hiding the drugs. And I can see my parents using it. Don't you think I would use those drugs? Of course I will use them because my mother is my first role model. I would like to see my father and my mother, what they are doing so that I can do. If or she is taking drugs, I will take drugs. If my mom is doing this, I will also do that because drugs are there. I'm not buying. I'm not using my money. And if I'm buying, where am I getting that money? Of course, it is my parents who are giving me that money. So I will become indisciplined in school. I will even send the watchman or the watch lady outside there to go and buy for me drugs because I'm used to those drugs. I cannot stay in school without those drugs. I have to use it. That will make me to sneak out of school, go outside even and do what? And buy the drugs. Another point is that teacher-student relationship. If my mom has been told that your daughter is doing bad outside there, I will say that no, I haven't told you to watch over my daughter. I'm the one who's supposed to do what? To watch over my daughter. So I don't want you to tell me what to do. On of which, if my mom tells someone like that, don't you think I will change my attitude? No, I will continue doing that. Thank you.
Third opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Israel Ivor once more said, without self-discipline, your dreams of grace become a flood of disgrace. Never let this indiscipline weigh you down for critics to pick mockeries on you. I am Oscar Kimtai from Chemuisus High School. The question asked, if parents fail to pay motivation fee, is it a failure? I say that it is not a failure because students and teachers interact more. From the statistics of 2017 January, which say that 80% of the students interact more with the teachers rather than parents who spend their 40% with the children at home. This shows that parents, it is not the fault of parents when they fail to pay fees that results to students' indiscipline. I think I've answered the question well. I come to my first point. It says that peer pressure and bad company. Many children go to school, go to church when they are at home. But when they come to school, they develop a negative attitude. They engage with their fellow friends at school and they become rude. They develop indiscipline in school. While they're at home, they pretend to be very, very organized, very respectful to their parents, and these are incorrigible children. Another point says that lack of support from the serving management from school, which says that when the management of the school is very poor, the students at school develop indiscipline. Why? When the school does not have good rules to govern the students on how to carry themselves, they will likely to develop indiscipline, which is as a result of inadequate rules that govern the school. Another point is that our programs at school are arranged in a such way that school students, or rather children, don't have time to maybe to go to church. Some don't even associate with themselves with the CUs and all the religious support. They don't have religious support. This shows that our children at school are developing indiscipline again and again. I want to finalize by the quote that says that it is the duty of youth to war against indiscipline because they are the leaders of tomorrow. My sisters in red, I want to ask you, is it how, until when are we going to blame our parents for students in discipline at school? Where does the parents come in there? Thank you.
Proposers, you have 1 minute to give a final submission.
Well, mtoto akibebwa utazama kisogo cha Ninawi. That is a quote I want to tell you. If a parent leads you astray, most definitely a child will follow the same thing. If my parent is not strict to me, most definitely I wouldn't be strict. So I will wish to tell you that if children or students look up to their parents so that they can be upright. But if my parent is not upright, I will be on the same side because our parents are our most and our very most role model. So if my parent teaches me on a wrong way, most definitely I'll look up to him like a role model. And if he teaches me astray, most definitely I'll go astray. And besides, I want to ask my fellow opposer. He said that which school in this country doesn't have strict rules. I mean, all schools have strict rules in this country. So most definitely, even if a child is tended to be rude is brought up right by the parents to be rude, he or she is going to be rude because not of the school rules being strict, but because the child is rude. So I wish to tell my brothers in brown to just join us because we are lucky enough. Well, we are most definitely lucky enough to have. We are not lucky enough. Sorry, I'm contradicting myself. I want to say that we are supposed to join forces and say that parents are the ones who are promoting indiscipline in schools because they are not helping us. So I think we should join forces to.
Opposition, you have 1 minute to give a final submission.
Thank you. Once again, I'm Elvis Masai from Chemuisus. Now, should you always blame the parents for the indiscipline cases that occur in school? Yet, they only spend little time with the students back there at home. This is very much significant because, you see, most of the time the students spend most of their time they always spend in school. The parents only spend little time with them. So, the major cause that will lead to indiscipline cases in school is about the students themselves because they stay little time spending with their parents. So we cannot blame always the parents that they are the one who have caused indiscipline cases in the school in school because even most of the students are arrogant. They are ignorant to what their parents tell them. They ignore what they are told. So we cannot always blame them because they always take their part. They guide the students. They always instill good morals to them. So we cannot always blame them. So there are some factors that are to be blamed which are within the school. Thank you.
Leila, good speaker, yes, good points. Your definition was just one term. You want to define all the terms, okay, or the key terms in a motion. And I think sometimes we wanted to bring in a level of statistics to just show us the levels of indiscipline that we are seeing. There's a lot of them we had. Schools were burning, all those kind of things. So you want to bring such examples here. Atieno, fair cross-examination. You give very good examples, like if you're growing in a family where the parents fight. And those were bad examples that you were trying to show. And I think even towards the ending, that was Leila who brought in that Swahili saying. You want to explain the Swahili saying every time you use one. Juliet, very passionate. I think you stood out in a way. Good answers, first of all, and even the examples that you gave are on point. To the gentleman, I think the first speaker, Elijah, you talked about peer pressure. Then Oscar as well comes back to speak about the same thing. So you want to show that you have diverse points, okay? The Garissa example that Elijah gave was very good, but you did not validate it. So, and I felt like your delivery now, you can tell, a debate is purely sometimes about delivery. If you look at Juliet, you can tell where you own it up and we can believe you even before you even say a lot of things. So you want to just work on that delivery, and that as well goes across to the other two gentlemen. Elvis, good cross-examination. I think the cross-examination was on point, and even the submissions. Delivery, remember, okay? We want to see that passion. Oscar, Good answer. No. Actually, the answer was not satisfactory. The second answer was not satisfactory. I wrote that down. So good points, but don't repeat the other points as I said. Your coherency, at some point, we were wondering whether you had a flow, okay? So you want to avoid that, and that comes by practicing more, okay? So all the best to the two teams. We'll wait for the results.
Down to the numbers. Let's see how the newbies have done. Chemuisus Secondary School. The judges awarded you 65.8%. Let's give them a round of applause. Kiborgok girls. The judges awarded you 67.4%, making you the winners of this debate. Congratulations to both teams. You have started well, but remember that do not rest until your good becomes better and your better becomes the best.
Well said, Esperance. Thank you so much for staying tuned to watch the Great Debaters Contest, Kenya's #1 debate platform. Remember, it does not end here because the conversation still continues on all our social media platforms with the hashtag GDC for SDGs. We'd like to challenge each and every school to take the SDG challenge, whereby you're required to implement at least one sustainable development goal so as to bring change not only in your communities but also the country at large. Until the next episode, I've been your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. Looking forward to see you again.